And we should be live again. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. That's something I usually check before the stream, but this was pretty impromptu, so that should still be the same video file, hopefully, as well. It also teaches me that. So yeah, I'll... I'll continue, just double checking that everything is back up and working again. Okay, yeah, looks like it. So yes, hopping back into the game, I was going to optimize the chest stuff that I have available to me. So I'm going to run out of optimization. I've already allocated, decided that I'm willing to spend 500 points, but not on this character, which means another logout, which is, could have prepared that perhaps, but this is very much just, you know, a hangout impromptu stream, so it's not very well prepared. So I'm just swapping characters to just grab the watch points off of this character. And I usually do them in bunches of 500. That way it's easy for me to keep track of what character has what. So there we have spent 200. And most of the things I will grab with this is, I will actually grab a few of the resources as well. But usually what I mostly spend my points on is SHD calibrations and field recon for optimization. In this case, I'm also going to do a little bit of resources just to make it easy for myself, especially titanium there. And I'm fine with all of the others. I know I'll play a little bit and farm those up. So oh, hey Apple. Oh yeah, so my understanding is that for that this disconnect protection, that's mostly also just that you have a screen up and stuff, right? Because my understanding is actually if I just stop the stream and restart, it stays in the same file for my understanding. But also there, I just had an audio issue that, you know, is sometimes crops up just for my the DAC that I use. Ah, okay. So yes, then I should actually go and enable that in a little bit. I'll make a note actually to do that. Actually, I can do that now. It appears, yes. Thanks for the tip, yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to mess around with some. I have that those points spent. Actually, let me double check that I spent the right amount. Yeah. Let me hop back to the other character and take this through the optimization for that. I'm just reading your message as well on Discord just now. Okay, good that you guys did some testing on that DTH, and yeah, that was basically because I was also Rossi basically spearheaded that. The only reason I basically knew about it is I knew some of the speedrunners used it, and I was actually unaware that DTH and DTA were working differently. Which actually makes a lot of sense because, of course, DTH also doesn't apply, of course, to like skills and stuff. So it's not exactly the same stat, just on the other end. But But yeah, so because also the initial claim was also that DTA was working that way from some people, and that I tried to disprove it by disproving that, but then DTH came up in the conversation, and there I got disproven again. So it was good to have. It was one of those nice humbling moments once in a while, where I was a little bit overconfident, and then got shown that sometimes you can't make assumptions from of how stats work. The game is quirky as hell. So yeah, optimizing this Henry to full, so yeah, I'm basically going what to me would be the obvious route of putting an going for that double companion of a Seska backpack as the obvious choice. So crit chance, crit damage wise, we're landing on 54. I do believe that there's already also a ton of crit chance rolls on this build. So I have 2 on the mask, and the rest is all crit damage likely, which is, yeah, how I commonly set it up. So stat-wise, I'm going to just easily guess that 60 is going to be the better choice over adding in a little bit more crit damage, and I'm, yeah, going towards the Scorpio. Which actually has 10 from memory. Yes, it does. And then, yeah, crit damage towards that. Man, if the Scorpio could have a free open third stat, that would be quite awesome. Having the ability to put DTOC on this would greatly increase its output. I'm just quickly reading the chats, and yeah. Okay, yes, then yeah, the inconsistencies, especially with Headhunter, are some interesting stuff is happening there. That's also why I'm avoiding going into that into that very deep hole for now, at least. Seeing as it's also not a talent that I quite often use, that's usually also informs it a little bit. I'm going to check if I have any max crit chance mod on this character. I do not, but I can grab one from this Catharsis likely, yeah. Just to give easy round stats. So yeah, gonna crit chance mod the Henry. There should be a free 6. There we go. And also upgrade this crit damage mod to a 12. That one. I remembered I had a free one still. So yeah, output wise, this actually looks kind of okay. Let's go just do something with it real quick. And for that, I'm just gonna... She is electric on any of the zones available to us. Doesn't look like it. I actually don't even see it on anything today, which can happen, of course. Oh, it's DZ. Not going to go in there for now. Not for just easy testing purposes. Let's go get some gloves. Let's just go up there. I'm just gonna take this directly into combat and get a feel for it. It's also going to be interesting to see... Oh yeah, actually, I need to, of course, give up... So the one consideration is, what do I give up for it? And my answer is going to be that I'm going to give up the shield, and I'm going to use for now, just a healing drone. And then try to survive just by the CC of the Scorpio. And it's been actually a while since we had a good talent for shotguns. That's really been the consideration for it. Or against using Scorpio shotties for quite a while. With Intimidate's changes affecting Adrenaline Rush the way they did, yeah. They
Rogue restore hive detected.
didn't work out.
Hostile restore hive detected. Hostile control point detected.
Guardians is also inactive, I just noticed. I was expecting it to be on, but it isn't. But it's also fine for this just brief testing here. So see that companion doesn't have double icons, which I would expect. Like that there's a little bit of difference between normal and... Or that you just have two icons on the thing, just so you see that it's double, but... I'm gonna guess they didn't think it all the way through. Yeah, the issues of a shotgun build, range. Gonna take this route. And of course, the nice thing with the Scorpio is it's built in CC as well. Though I'm curious to know... I will die here, actually. No, they were nice. They left me alive. Also now, of course, notice that I was technician for the other build, and I do not need to be that anymore. Because yeah, gunner would actually be a good fit for here, of course. Oh. Yeah, let's just head out of here. Yeah, let me swap that out. The annoying thing is, yeah, actually I'm going to give up the reviver hive. Not having a shield and getting surrounded is annoying. The shield just gives you a little bit of brunt force just to run around a little. And then, yeah, gunner or firewall. I'm going to start with gunner. And then firewall will be the choice for in groups, but also this doesn't inherently sound like a group build anyway. I'm gonna go after just this convoy. Did despawn? No, it just got deselected. Because yeah, I'm curious also to see later on in calculations what exactly is breaking. With nobody, like usually when it isn't broken and people say it is, usually somebody pipes in and goes and corrects. Having not seen that, I'm going to assume that something is broken. But I got several answers and asking around about it, and we'll figure it out with some calculations.
Hostile control point nearby. Detecting additional hostile contacts.
The one thing that I've always had with the Scorpio is it does feel weaker than other shotguns, especially just going a base 612. In the same way that, for instance, a Bullet King feels weaker than most of its the other choices you could have there. But of course, it makes up for it with its great and awesome CC. Like that is what usually saves it. But I'm curious to see with Double Companion if there is I don't want to do Outcast really because they're too easy. There's way too much fire there that can easily be used to make it way too easy. Yeah, now let's go to my original plan again and see if I don't die this time. I'll take that, guys. Yeah, on this character, so it might look, my map might look weird with this character as it is, of course, very, very much all of the side missions are active, which, you know, it's something most people will likely not see. But this character, I've specifically taken them all the way to level 40 without doing any side mission that isn't, of course, required. Some of the New York ones are required. In DC, none of the side missions are, well, with a few exceptions. So there are small things that are story related that are required, like going into that lab to the south of the White House, but none of the actual like side missions where you're fighting things is really required. So this character still has them all. At times I've used it to replay some of the things, because if I join this character or somebody else joins this character's world and this character then leaves, I can rejoin back on them and we can do missions, side missions in this world without it completing for this character. So when the character isn't in this world and side missions get completed, it doesn't count for them. Of course, they weren't there to get the mission complete trigger.
Access key detected.
50% or, well, no, actually 40%. You know, I haven't played HF in such a long while. As yeah, I usually gravitate towards tech tanks, very much so. That I'm actually not completely sure on how much armor on kill it gave. I'm gonna guess 20. So yeah, having a little bit more with Gunner is isn't a bad choice, but of course, yeah, I could have more damage with a firewall shield.
Hostage health is
Never be
critical.
able to thank you enough for this.
And the interesting thing as well, because I don't have any of the side missions completed, every time especially some of the bounties don't have any places to go. So for instance, if I especially pop a bounty in West End, it would always go to the same spot, one zone over. And that's actually something that we used to play around with exploiting a little bit. So if I bounty farm with this character in West End, any bounty I pop will be here. And that can actually be used to farm that zone quite well with bounties, as all you need to do is just leave the bounty area a little bit, and because it's forced to be in the same spot, it can actually easily somewhat be exploited. Now, of course, that requires a character that is set up completely for it. Also, in that last part, I was intentionally didn't have my drone out. I wanted to see how it feels without it. So basically wasting the chest and backpack talent, how it feels then.
I got this.
And yeah, closing the distance in open world is always one of the main issues with HF.
Got nothing.
Trying to get behind us.
Detected. Nearby location. Guarded by hostiles.
Got you now.
Here, I'll go down.
Agent out of action.
And
Right here. Blow it.
oh yeah, actually, you are correct. I do have vigilance on my backpack. Sorry, I was reading chat, so I wasn't paying attention. And I was paying attention to vigilance. I do actually. Yeah, I didn't recalibrate that, so let's go do that right away. And yeah, that would also kind of explain why it felt the way it did.
I've got it. Take a look.
Does it show that I just took a nap? And I'm not fully awake yet still. But I just thought I'd hop on, and I was going to do this anyway, and thought, you know what? I was going to record it anyway just for just checking the numbers and reading them back anyway. So I thought, you know what? I'll hit the start stream button as well. Let's head back to that one. Yeah, good catch. Although eventually I would have caught it just by the icons. Now I'm actually curious. Does it show... Oh no, it does only show one companion. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any... I mean, we don't have any double talents usually, because usually they share the same slot, of course. There's stuff like the coyote and stuff where you could have two of them, but of course they have different icons for different ranges. This would have been nice 2 days ago before I optimized pieces for my Eclipse builds. Yeah, I'm reworking all of those to be with Electric now, of course.
Hostile control point identified.
Of course, not going to call them in. I don't think I'm going to cheese the second part, but I might actually. Haven't decided yet. Okay, yeah, that's... something is breaking there. Just by numbers-wise, that going from what we were to this is very much stronger. More than another 20 total weapon damage would be. Because yeah, vigilance, while I had it on, likely it was basically inactive for most of its time. Will they let me? Oh, yeah, they will. Hunter's Fury, that mark of it is actually one of its great benefits, I feel always. Just having that be showing where enemies are is actually one of its unsung hero parts. Seeing as they're all downstairs anyway, I'm gonna go up there and see if I can get them from this side. There's a medic somewhere that I don't think I've killed yet. Okay, so there is already some calculations done on it, seeing as so the total amp is at 55% then. Okay. Yeah, so one of the things that came up is that it's likely applying...
Heavily armored.
it's applying just without the skill out, and then it's again applying as well once you have the skill out, applying double that way. That's knowing a little bit about how the mechanically companion is programmed towards the game. That kind of makes sense and would be an easy thing for them to mess up, as that is a bug that we have had in the past, long time ago. And yeah, then it's back again now.
Control point secured. Well done.
So I've aggroed something down the street. Gonna go deal with them as well. So actually, in the meanwhile, because yeah, that's 20 right, and I'm gonna understand now. Actually, I do have a. Oh, they've come for me already. I have a mop as well, and I'm gonna see how that feels as well in a second.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that. I mean, I'll take this into some calculation sheets also in a minute, and we'll have a look at that there. Yeah, it's basically. I mean, it comes at the cost of a skill slot, which minimal, of course, except for builds like this that really want to have their shields.
Reinforcements incoming.
I'm gonna just go cheese this, just see how it feels. Just trying to go for maximum output. And I'm RPM wise quite used to the Scorpio and the Striker, as that is something I quite often use solo. And I'm clicking just a little bit too fast and getting out of the right rhythm. So that the downsides of learning rhythms.
Heavily armored hostiles detected.
But yeah, output-wise, of course, this is also all red variant, so output-wise, it should do well. Yeah, the Scorpio just CCing for itself could make this actually a build that will be the rework for that other build I had on the build collection, which also kind of works, but not to the same easily extent. And of course, the long wait for our friendlies to join us so we get our loot. Gonna check Discord as well, as yes, apparently a lot of people are weighing in on that discussion. Yeah, I just leave it that loud as well, just so I'm not sitting here in silence reading. What Rossi says is that what's happening is individually they work as intended, but when both are equipped, the backpack becomes triggered immediately. Then when it's supposed to be active, they both activate. So we're getting plus 15 at all times, and then 15, 15, plus 20 when active. Okay. But yeah, just to basically corroborate that data. Let's give it some peer review in a second. Don't actually remember if I kept that glove or not. I actually did. I might actually hang on to that. It's going to look cleaner than the other one. So I'm going to take this to the range and just fill in a calculation sheet, and then with what the stated stats are, and then see how much it differs by. And from there, we'll basically work backwards to in-game stats. Going to stash that one. Just going to check if I already... Oh, actually, I hadn't yet optimized the other one, so that, yeah, that does saves me a little bit of optimization. It's annoying that people see my builds, and that means that I kind of have to you know, put electric pieces on them, because of course the golem piece would be exactly the same, but just because they're, you know, public facing, I should have electric pieces on there and not give people the impression that they should go out of their way to get the golem pieces. I'll say a golem is now, of course, going the way of the dodo, following Murakami into a brand that will no longer likely show up anywhere, really. Maybe a regen build here and there, but I mean, those are interesting builds, but they're not good builds. So yeah, let me actually prepare a calculation sheet. So in the background, I will take a second to do that. Actually, I'll just so I'm not showing anything particularly, I'm going to make a new window and capture that. And make sure that I'm not exposing anything I don't want to. Just do studio mode and check here. Okay. So to set up the sheet, what I'm going to do is briefly grab this file, make a copy. And that's just a multi-calculator that I also have in the folder that I will share, but that one is just for me to mess around in. And going to set it to the date, or what? 23 06/26. Double combat. Okay. Pop that up. So going to need the base of Scorpion. I'm just going to grab that from my burst tables. That's the easiest. Trying to find where I actually let me not show that and do go here and shit. I've apparently never opened the shotgun one on this PC yet. Shotguns, Scorpio. It's because I do not feel like calculating it out. Okay, let's see. Plug in all the stats. So 60, 127. And this second row, of course, is inactive, really. This should be 130, right? Yep. Both are worded as total weapon damage, right? So technically it should be that. There's no amp. There's also no DTOC, of course, actually. Yeah. No, remember that this needs to, of course, be that's I'm trying to remember, was it actually that you had to divide the average shot by 8 to get the actual number? It's been a while since I've calculated shotguns. Because yeah, that number seems a little bit insane to me. That's not correct. What happens if I actually divide this by 8? That seems more likely in line with what the build is actually doing. Also, technically, we have, of course, the amp of Hunter's Fury once it's actually activating and getting kills. Leaving that out of there. Oh, actually, we do have the amp of the mark. 20, right? Yes. And we actually had to gonna shoot DTA just for easiness, and that's gonna be another 12. Sure. Yeah. So just gonna put this over to vulnerable leads. Get a shot in. Turn on my damage numbers because why would we go without? And so yeah, just to testing wise, I'm just going to take that stat block, make this a 55. And this, of course, the second shot. That's poison is annoying. So yeah, 296, 657. So that's still above the second number with 55. Let me see. Just she. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, I should. I should actually just make it easier on myself with taking it to not be the gear set and just inactive bonuses. Actually, I am gonna do, and oh, actually, I should not. So that is actually also, of course, required. Actually, let me keep it at these stats because, yeah, actually, the Hunter's Fury one is, as long as you're not getting kills, it is quite consistent, actually. It's mostly that kills one is multiplicative to itself, and the numbers didn't change between deployed skill and non-deployed skill. So here I should only have that other. does the range count, or does he count as a companion? Or that would be, because yeah, what is the range on companion? It is only 10 meters, right? Is it likely that somebody above me is counting as companion? That is interesting. I'm not sure I've ever really tested companion, but I would feel that something like that would have been something that I would have noticed at some point. Because both of them also have the range. Oh, okay, so this companion has 10 meters range as well. So that could be... That's interesting. That's going to... Okay, so we need live targets. But also, so... Here only the chest companion should be active. Let me double check. So let me just actually take this. I'm going to take it to be several values. So just gonna put all of those in, and then trying to think, do the weapon stats matter? But they shouldn't matter at all, just for the burst and sustain they would, but not for the pellet hits. So I want basically completely inactive, just perfect active, just the backpack active. Not that that's really possible. They should both be active at the same time. 35, which is the expected amount. And then one last one with 55. And then that's going to make it easier to identify what we're getting. So I'm going to go into the wild and shoot something with armor and see what the stat block tells me. And for that, I'm also not going to be crazy and do it the hard way. I'm just going to drop it to normal and go to that elite territory control where we'll have 4. I'm not going to make it. No. Failed to not have a loading screen. Okay, yeah, that could very well be that way. And yeah, the companion being active, I would feel, I haven't tested companion often, but I would feel I would have noticed if it was like, even if the normal one was also active in the range when it shouldn't be. But yeah, the other one being 10 meters is then, yeah, that one, that makes sense. That. So I'm gonna swap in a shield, because that's just going to make this a little bit easier to test. I'm just gonna quickly change their slots.
RC car out!
If I was smart, I would also just take a second to make them without the DTA and DTH. Just do a DTH version, basically, so which this build has none. But yeah, so first, not gonna trigger anything. I'm expecting... So, gonna run away, have a look at those numbers. Did I have an all crit shot?
Taking the shot.
It's gonna relocate.
Serious trauma detected.
So the annoying thing here is, of course, I'm gonna get the hunter kill buff. So yeah, the good play would indeed be to not frustrate myself and go with an easier build. But I'm just gonna let it run out for now. So 155, which doesn't match any of the available numbers.
Got him. Down. Tango is flanking us.
Yeah, mostly just looking at the, trying to match the number up. I'm trying to see where it falls in between.
Here we go.
So we have a 335, which is between the first two.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
And that's, yeah, about 5% more than that one. So, okay. And we're at 672, which, yeah, is above our range. Above our maximum range, even. And that's with 5% above it, which doesn't line up with 55%. Okay. That tells me already a bit more. I'm going to just kill this guy and then just run away and go back to the range. And yeah, I'm going to simplify it. I don't have access to gray gear on this character, sadly, on this account. That would that usually makes testing on my... That's why I have gray gear on my other account. But we can work around with something. But the interesting thing was that the high range was very much over what even the expected calculation with 55% is. And yeah, I'm going to drop it also to being a one-shot thing, just to... Indeed, just pistol or something, something similar. Just AR shot maybe as well. Just stats that don't apply. More stats that don't apply. Even more stats that don't apply. And seeing as I already have RPM numbers there for a FAMAS, I'm just going to grab a FAMAS and change this to be 900. It's not the striker. And this is already the base of FAMAS, so... I'll also just do that real quick, just so I can easily change it. Okay. So here we have the chest should only be active, and the stats, of course, I need to retake. So it's 70. I hate that pop-up always. Because it's just the click being just a little bit too late. So 81. Not that this matters, but 53. And then this goes to 21 because I'm gonna shoot health targets, invulnerable health, because that just avoids that rollover of the invulnerable or accidentally shooting health on the other enemies. Let's see what the expected number is going to be. So let's see actually if this matches anything. So 307. So yeah, this changed, of course, as well. No. As I do have a weapon with damage targets out of cover now. Trying to think if I'm missing any of the other stats. Shouldn't be. And even here, 169 is above even the available range. I can make this actually a little bit bigger so it's easier to read, maybe. Which is interesting. Like, that's not... I didn't expect it to be above our available range. Which usually sometimes indicates a calculation mistake on my end. But that doesn't seem to be the case. And if I... let's say swap this over to spotter, that's not going to be active. Okay, the second companion is actually active as well. And if I take this off as well, of course they're inactive. Let's see. The chest icon is now not popping up. So the backpack was active a second ago. That is interesting. So if I just equip the backpack, that could also mean that the chest doesn't have an icon on the or that the icon is also maybe intermittent or something else is breaking. Interesting. Very interesting. Because yeah, now if I swap this over, it goes away. If I activate it once, together with the chest, of course we have the icon. Gonna take this away. I'm gonna take the chest away. And now it reacted normally. So it should only be the chest that is active. Or activating from allies nearby. Because yeah, 10 meters is quite wide. Interesting. Because yeah, what does it give now? So now already it's already at 35 total weapon damage without, of course, anything activated. And then yeah, it goes way above that as well. $149. It also seems to be inconsistent. Because if I scroll all the way back up, here we had same setup started here, I believe, and then yeah, we are above it. Because yeah, these are the shots that I just did, so yeah, these shots were also with this setup already, and these were above what we have now. And if I take the skill away, 34, 240. So yeah, that's 35 total weapon damage active, or 35% amp active. Doesn't per se need to be total weapon damage. Oh yeah, actually yeah, I should try 50 as well. Good point. Mm, 50. Oh yeah, actually that seems to be the matching number. For wait, that was a matching number early. Oh, actually, yeah, no, this thing needs to be out. So 149 to 71. Okay, so the backpack seems to be duplicata. Yeah, that word. Because yeah, 2 times 15 and 20. Oh wait, did I? Why are the numbers swapped there? Why is this number higher than this number? That is, because these are all 20, which is its line. How did I break this? That's always, oh, that's how I broke this. That one was hiding behind my OBS panel in my defense. So it seems to be 50, which is the backpack talent applying twice. Then when I take this away, now currently we are on it's 134, which is 35. So yeah, it in these numbers it's applying 50. Okay, let me read what Rasia as well said, because I've forgotten at this point. Blah blah blah. Okay, and that actually is matching what he said. So you're getting 15% at all times, and then you're getting 15 plus 20 when active. It's surprising that it's breaking something with a talent that already existed over the chest applying twice. Like I just because yeah, he had said it right. I just inferred it wrong. Okay. So that answers that question. So yeah, it is applying twice. It's triggering basically if once you have the chest is triggered, it's applying it's forcing the backpack to apply twice for some reason, which is an interesting bug. I wonder how they broke it in that way. Okay, there might actually also even be some inconsistencies with it. Because yeah, I had some numbers there as well that were inconsistent. Let me see if we can re-break it in some way. So now that we have that number, we can see. So this is... actually, I'm just going to copy this to be here just so it's more legible for myself. So that's the total weapon damage amounts. So yeah, there it's applying 35. The annoying thing is this, of course, so I could go test this out in the wild and see if it's triggering correctly or not. Because now I would be under the impression that it should not trigger the second companion, because that never used to happen in the past. The 5 meters would not reach anyone. Now, of course, the White House, of course, they moved a lot of stuff around. They remodeled it basically with with. Actually, let me see if I take this backpack away. Does the icon stay now? Can I move around and see if there's anywhere where it triggers? So yeah, here normally is always where it would trigger because of him, and then here and stuff it wouldn't. There wasn't anything in range. But yeah, the bigger one with the new named one is just 10 meters, so that's also making it a bit more annoying. Even higher than any of the ones I've been. I'm just gonna read because I was more invested in the test for a second. Being so. What I need. So, well, they're likely not independent amps because they wouldn't match as they are now, or be as close, because like a separate amp would be several Ks up or down. And because we have two numbers that already match, it will be very rare that it's going to be a separate amp. To answer earlier one. Yeah, there seem to be some inconsistencies with what I had as well. And so off on. Oh, really? Okay, so yeah, the guy upstairs walking around. Okay, yeah, the patrol pads have all changed with their choices that they have made recently. So yeah, testing out, maybe just capturing some footage, but then I would do that post stream, because then I would need to just record, rewatch it, and have a look at that. And yeah, that would, so 70% would, yeah, indeed also, yeah, be chest also duplicating. So it could be that it's usually duplicating the backpack, and then in some way maybe perhaps also duplicating the chest in some situations. So actually, let me add one more in with 70. And actually go back through to that, some of the early number that I had, which I think as well was, yeah. So here, when I was starting the test, I hit a 307, and yeah, that is matching 70. So it seems to be bugging out in yes, exactly. Yeah, so I have those. So up here, I have exactly, yeah, that 307, 169, which, yeah, matches 70. So it's it's broken in interesting ways. I wouldn't mind doing some testing on how it, what the consistency is and what the trigger points of it are. But I think that's maybe best left for a different time when I'm a little bit more awake, and also I'll just think about, think about it. That's usually as well helps, just letting it linger in your mind for a little bit, and then sometimes you go, aha, it was the butler in the basement with a sword, Because also I want to go shoot some shit. I do want to mess about with double companion a little bit more, especially see if I'm gonna run this build as it was, get a little bit of a feel for it. Mostly I want to just for testing purposes, I'm gonna take it to Lincoln. Yeah, that's that would be my. I would be in agreement with that exactly. So it's either seems to be applying in either just one of each, two of one of the other, one of one, two of the other, or just all together, doubled, and all in total weapon damage, or at least in the same amp. Companion is very much tested to be total weapon damage, so unless they changed the code in there somewhere, then then it should match up. I'm gonna take this back to a big screen and just briefly swap browser windows and so I can have a look over here. And yeah, also double check that my bitrate is okay because sometimes that wants to break. I'm gonna take this old variant just through this mission real quick. And I now also just consider that this is with 2 blue, so in a second I likely will change that one, the other one. Could have pieces that are retountable on the core. And okay, yeah, like the way that most of my builds are set up is I'll go out of my way to get the ability to recore. So luckily it is set up that way. So on that one, I'll record the chest and the glove at that point, just so it's also 2 blue. So this used to be an old flatline version. This actually numbers-wise kind of worked. It falls basically just below other options that were available here just because it had that perfect spotter. And it landed like I think was like 6% less than other options of going Seska Grupo, basically. Just because, yeah, you're going perfect spotter and then perfect opportunistic. And then you gained that armor and kill a little bit extra. But yeah, locking itself into technician and flatline. And then, yeah, gaining flatline. That's in that... that's in that 8% below it.
They maintain this outpost. The true sons will be a direct threat to the campus.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go run through this. 0 directives, just laziness. Get a feel for the build again. It's been a while since I ran this build. And I'm just going to see how the other one then feels. And if I want to swap that out. Because yeah, this never felt bad from memory. It's just, yeah, I'm I'm quite addicted to my tech tanks for this kind of function. I'm gonna turn off damage numbers as I don't need them anymore.
Got something here.
And yeah, Lincoln is one of those missions that, like most players, I know way too well.
Not now.
But yeah, actually for like solo play, these kinds of builds are fine, and trying to, you know, get decent at them. Mostly just closing distance and killing stuff to CC with, and I should not go upstairs as I always do.
Did you hear that?
Copy that. Eyes on target.
Get a finish up that ain't.
That he really was protecting the others. Whew.
Agent down.
That shield was just a second too late. And I've pushed them way too far. Sure, I'm gonna go upstairs and just play it safe.
Shake. Get off me!
Is it damage-wise this build? She does decent damage. I mean, HF always does because of its shotguns choices. Also, one thing I'm noticing that I'm missing a lot is I have a tendency to blind fire, especially with shotguns, and Especially when you're in short range, you don't really have to aim with. Like the spread difference isn't great.
Will I get Henry's people to maintain
And that means that I'm of course not ADSing and pulsing stuff. I mean, yeah, the Striker with its very overpoweredness is it still very much exists. But yeah, for me, variety is the spice of life, as they say. Just something else can be fun at times. But yeah, this build really, it just is one of those things that does exist in my collection, and mostly it's just trying to make use of two named items. And when trying to use it, it becomes a choice of why. Why would I pick this over a tech tank? Not really for solo play. Would it be useful in some specific sense? A little bit. I mean, it is a shotgun HF, but you could just be a SMG Hunter's Fury with Obliterate and do most of the same things. Have even a little bit more range, a little bit less damage, of course, on the short range, but
the true sons have turned the memorial into a base.
But yeah, the Scorpio can make shotgun HFs feel different because you have that built-in CC. And that's what I'm hoping a little bit with Double Companion. Now, of course, it's going to give a skewed view of Double Companion likely breaking with each time you're using it. It's going to give a little bit of a skewed image of how it will perform once they fix it, if they actually fix it. You know, sometimes you get those pieces that feel bad. Rate of Fire Classic M1A. That could have been a damage to targets out of cover one, and that likely would have been not a true upgrade, but just a cosmetic upgrade to a build somewhere. But that one was with Rate of Fire and close and personal, so. Now the benefit of this build, actually, considering it now, is that it would actually benefit groups more, but would I run a HF in a group?
I can't remember.
Unlikely. Because of course it's applying that perfect opportunistic. But yeah, I mean, so could Eclipse if it really wanted to. And it'd be much more useful than something like this. I'm gonna get all the looting out in this run, and then I'm gonna do a run with the other setup, and that'll be a lot faster without looting.
According to the schematics Isaac pulled upstairs, we can lock that tunnel door from their control center. That should keep them from being able to transport those mortars loaded with DC-62.
You're gonna die today.
Immobilizing target.
No.
The game's being nice, spawning everything in front of me. Let me briefly just reload my
That should keep them from getting
browser window, because I just noticed that it was stuck on connecting to chat for a while, so I think it didn't catch up. And yeah, there was stuff there. Yeah, Elmo is really great for Striker. It lets you flip one of the crit chances over, making up a little bit for its loss in damage talent. And of course, it's actually not that far I mean, it is behind. Don't get me wrong, on most of the on high-end weapons, especially with damage talents, but it wasn't that far behind on most builds that couldn't make use of its crit chance. Yeah, Striker very much can, of course.
Get them away from me!
The routing of this guy always annoys me. He's very determined to get to all the way in the back.
Get away from me!
Which I wonder if, like, that's design-wise, of course, kind of makes sense. Like, they're trying to get the bosses that are spawning far away, but want to get them to the players. But I wonder if in playtests it already, like, that should show up that most of the players will rush them now.
Good work. Go on and head back up. The team from the campus has taken position inside the memorial.
This place is also Seska, so it's not the worst farm. Not that I think I need any Seska pieces, but sometimes just getting something can be useful.
If you hadn't stopped them, I know they would have used those weapons on us, and we would have ended up like Castle. I can't tell you how relieved I am to have you on our side. Thank you.
Is it a higher sustain than a... I would be surprised by that if it outsustains a FAMAS.
Infrastructure. We confiscated a massive cache of chemical weapons and eliminated a stronghold near the campus. You should be proud.
Because while it does have a pretty quick reload, like the FAMAS with fast dance is quite high. So I haven't actually calculated it out on a build. It's one of the things that I wanted to have a look at some point. Because yeah, it needs to be calculated out on. But I did put it in my burst and sustain tables and stuff, and had a look at it there a little bit. But there, of course, it's stat-wise, some of the bonuses that it has are in its stats, where other weapons would still get a talent on top of it. I was kind of blanking on what I was going to do, and that is that I'm going to grab this Henry. And a Seska bag that it went along with it. And a Scorpio. Sure, I'm going to run it as a full red, even though that's going to really not benefit my shield much. I'll keep it as Technician as well for now, just to save us a trip. Just get a feel for how this one feels. See if I can get into the mission before a war zone starts out here.
You to secure the memorial and remove the True Sons forces. If they maintain this outpost, the True Sons will be a direct threat to the campus.
Oh, I haven't even, like, I didn't even remember to bring a skill, but I'll just deploy my my hive and just hang around that for this fight.
Got a visual on additional hostiles in the memorial compound.
Because yeah, I of course need a skill. I'm actually gonna give up my hive.
Agent, you'll need to find a way to open that gate.
If I die, I just die. That's fine. Trying to think what other options really exist. So Solo, the survivalist Seeker healer could be useful. Just the Seeker I could use, as that will just follow you around until you target it on something. I think I'm just going to stick with the healing drone. I'm just... That's likely going to be the easiest.
Eyes on that drone! Son of a bitch! End of the line.
Yeah, the reload does indeed cap ads. So every weapon technically has its own, but you can... It's from my understanding, it's basically between 0.98 seconds and 1.1 second is what they all basically land on. So 1 second is like the easy middle ground. And I believe actually almost all of the ARs do land on 1 second. It's mostly on other weapon types that like I remember the CTAR being an outlier in the same way that has its different reload of empty and full. So this should be the only wave that I maybe struggle with a little bit. Yeah, I will.
Needed.
I should go up. I should go up and deal with this wave. Just up there. Yeah, I was also half reading chat and not paying that much attention.
Who's that? There you go! Coming down! Bringing the trap! Friendly's down and out! Firing down! You want us... Behind there! I'll set up my turret.
Got a visual on additional hostiles in the memorial compound. They're moving south. There's a gate between you. It looks closed from here.
Agent, find a way to open that gate.
Not paying attention. Well, the fast on FAMAS is usually like another 20% to its sustain. Like more than even.
Take any supplies you've got. Bring up grenade.
Well, actually, well, if you're calculating from 1 second, yeah, then that is actually usually what the FAMAS can reach up to, especially on strikers with its bonus already.
Stay right there! Knock you down!
Serious trauma detected.
Is there a medic around here?
It's not leave those behind. And this time I'll try to be smart about it and not let that wave get out. Like, that's the only wave I'm going to struggle with anyway, so might as well go out of my way to make them the easiest. Because these guys will mostly run up anyway. At least, usually. and then I can deal with them here.
Target.
Yeah, the damage difference. I mean, also it's 2 red cores more, of course, but it's obviously a lot more damage as well, alongside of its CC. Like, yeah, this is going to be the way that build's gonna be presented.
Clear.
Now, yeah, maybe at some point they'll fix it and then I'll reconsider, but for now. Although I will likely rework it to be true blues. Let me reload the chat again as it's stuck on connect again. Okay.
Is there anyone out?
Yeah, Elmo. I mean, if nothing else, even if it's 10% behind, its ability to CC is invaluable. Because especially if you have several players with it, basically there's always a shock up, and you just need one shot to land on an enemy for it to shock them. I've noticed, so I actually joined a group of a clan group of a friend of mine, and we went in with basically all red builds, mostly striker, a red FI, a red patriot, and a red ongoing, and everybody running and St. Elmo's, and yeah, that just trivializes that was maybe one of, I mean, it was also a good team, of course. They were already not struggling with heroic countdowns, but it was even more or less of a struggle.
Hey, I need.
One pellet is enough for a heroic red.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
Okay, I'll actually have a little brief look at that. I'll be standing still for a second. Okay. But are you accounting for... Okay, so this is with the fast hands one. Okay. That's why the reloads on 1 second. Yeah, that's actually interesting. I haven't done my own testing on St. Elmo, so I'm like catching up a little bit on it. But yeah, that all seems to match up. But just surprising, yeah. I would have not expected it to catch up. But yeah, that's sometimes how that goes. I expect something to go one way and then goes the completely other one. Or wait, there is a mistake in there? Okay. Did I miss the mistake?
Door from their control center. That should keep them from being able to
Oh,
transport.
okay, yeah, that would
Over, asshole!
that will alter that. I should also remember to actually deploy my drone, because the build is reliant on that.
Serious trauma detected.
See if the game is nice again and spawns everything here. It does. Actually, yeah, solo usually just looking at the door will make them all spawn there anyway. That door seems to be very susceptible to where people look at, or that spawn.
That should keep them from getting more of those mortars.
Hey, it's next. Yeah, so the question of is FAMAS DPS really that higher? It is by quite a bit. So FAMAS is very much an outlier. So one of the likely causes for it is that it, to go a little bit into its history, which I actually had forgotten, and somebody brought it up in discussion, and I had forgotten about it at that point, is that initially, actually, FAMAS did not have access to a max or a magazine slot, so it could only be 30 rounds. And it seems to be mostly balanced around it being that, so that it could not have a magazine slot. But of course, they added a magazine slot to it, and then balanced it in somewhat the same way as they did all of the other weapons around Tier 10, when like the big weapon changes went in. This guy might go immune unless I get him right here. Yeah, and
Good work. Go on and head back up.
it basically has stayed as an outlier that way. It was actually just, I mean, one place you can look is a little bit below the stream is a link. You can click the banner for. I didn't have companion active because my drone is stuck in somewhere over there. That did feel a little bit weaker, that last fight.
Use those weapons on
There's a link to burst and sustain tables, and you can see for yourself how much difference there is.
We dealt a great blow to the True Sons'
From memory, it's several percent.
confiscated a massive cache of chemical weapons and eliminated their stronghold near the campus. You should be proud.
So actually, if I
Saved a lot of
bring up...
money today.
Let's see if it's capturing the right window. It is not. If I close it over here, it likely will. Yes. Yeah, here we go. Actually, I have it open here as well, so I could just do it like this. So yeah, on burst, the FAMAS is basically 3.5% above second place, and it's more than 5% over an M4. And on sustain, the thing that especially makes the FAMAS really good is that while a lot of people are very interested in burst, its lower bound is also very high. So it's very high on burst, it's very high on sustain. That's actually what makes the FAMAS really good. And the M4 kind of falls away, and the Carbine 7 as well, a little bit under sustain. So it very much becomes like their lower bound is lower than most of the others. And that's mostly down to the reload speed, but that's also why they do get recommended a lot, is that when you go then into fast hand comparisons, and that's why I have the fast hand comparisons as well, is then they crawl up quite a lot because they have a very slow reload, so they benefit extra from reducing that reload. And then, yeah, the Carbine 7 suddenly in sustain, because all of these are, of course, only on sustain, where fast hands only matters. Suddenly the Carbine 7 and the M4 are middle of the pack on their sustain, and that means that with their high burst and then midline fast hands, that makes them good choices. Especially they are easier to use. They have a little bit more range. They can use a pulse for flatline. So they have their benefits. But usually, actually, so I do not really use Carbine 7 or M4 as with damage talents. Usually when I go with damage talent, my picks are usually actually the G36 is what I'm leaning mostly towards nowadays, as its midline is basically higher a little bit. But that's down to preference and such as well. Actually, let me make this big again. And go back here. So actually, what are the could you send me the updated one as well there, Apple? I would be curious to see what the numbers end up as. Just a screenshot is okay. Of the Elmo calculation sheet. Well, in real life, the FAMAS has a fixed 25 rounds. Well, so the military FAMAS it has. So I'm also not a gun guru, so I may be saying something wrong, but I believe it doesn't use Stanak Max, the standardized. Actually, I don't know if it's a NATO standard, but what usually is considered the M4 mags that also a lot of other weapons use. So I'm going to actually go to back to the White House for a second. I'm going to recalibrate 2 blue cores into this build, and I'm going to take a different specialization because I'm no longer locked to technician, and take this to another Lincoln, and this is usually basically how I go through builds and give it a little bit of a run through and see what works, what doesn't. Get a feel for the build. As it's quite easy to just theory craft the build together, but sometimes they just completely fall apart when you try to really go through it. So what I'm considering now, I'm just gonna have a look at this build because I am basically already convinced by it that I want to have it as a double companion, as the flatline one didn't see much use by me, at least. I know also it wasn't very often used by others. So I'm going to put the 2 red cores on the knee pad and holster. I'm going to also swap out this mod from crit chance to crit damage just so I can easily use this piece in other builds. And I'm going to put that crit chance on somewhere else, the needed crit chance. So the mask already has double crit chance, so I would actually need a different piece for that. But for now, just for our testing purposes here, I will keep it as is. But eventually what I will do is likely go after a glove that I can reconfigure to be with a crit chance mod. And that's usually also one of those things that kind of doesn't really matter, but is sometimes useful, is if I can have this piece with a crit damage mod, that means that I can easily swap it into other builds just for testing purposes. So if I'm running a red glass build, I can just put this in and see, and then stat-wise, it still matches up. Because now, of course, it wouldn't match up with most other builds, as most of the other builds will be crit chance, crit damage, crit damage. And yeah, for that I would need. There's also the backpack I want to have keep as is. Yeah, for now I will keep it as this. So I've added in 2 blue cores, specialization next. Yeah, fast. Yeah, I mean, especially on strikers, some of the other ones also like work well just because of that extra weapon handling it has as well. I'm going to take firewall and also swap my shield to striker shield and try to be a bit more aware of using that shield actually. Make sure that this is set up correctly with the damage bonuses. So that one is, and here I'll take a little bit more active regen. So this weapon as well no longer needs to be set up the way it was. I'm just going to check my crit chance, crit damage, make sure that I didn't in some way mess up. And to check that, I'm just going to remove a mod here. And we should be 55 now if I go to that weapon. Yeah. That's nice. This build then exactly lands at 60. I would just need to, just for my purposes, I would swap one piece out still. My drone lost its mods. Let me just... Or well, likely it never had its mods to begin with when I added it in. Also, I just noticed that this mod could very much use an upgrade, which is surprisingly low for my standards. And yeah, Apple gave you the right advice, the perfect on MPD FAMAS, the named FAMAS, the burnout. It's usable, but I don't think it's great because it isn't active from the start. You basically have to unload one and then it starts to become good. And yeah, it just loses out to other talents. It's not that it's bad, it's that there are choices that are better. Oh, I didn't actually set the mission.
We need you to secure the memorial and remove the True Sons forces. They maintain this outpost. The True Sons will...
But also, so the burnout, one of the nice things is with all named items is it's easier to... well, if you have one, it's likely already pretty closer to being easily good than trying to find FAMAS. Because the talent is already fixed, and that means that you basically have one less thing to worry about. And with how commonly you will get the item, it's easier to get a good one of those over a good FAMAS easily. But once you have a good FAMAS, the choice is
Got a visual on additional
easily made to use that instead.
There's a gate between you. It looks closed from here.
Agent, you'll need to find a way to open that gate.
Also, I'm a habitual reloader, and I will never reach the end of that map. Well, I will like reach it twice in a whole mission likely, which also is a consideration.
Let's go!
Come on.
Friendly is KIA.
Take them on.
Enemy spotted.
Just lie down and die. That's a good spot for a turret.
So yeah, this build, swapping from mostly 2 extra blues into it, feels obviously weaker, which, I mean, of course, we lost 30 weapon damage. But it actually, play-wise, to me, it feels a little bit better. I have a shield that I can use to buffer over distance. I once said, I'm not going to deploy my drone starting out for up to this room, just because I wanted to feel how it feels without it. But then here I will take it, because for that elite wave later on, I don't want to... I've already died to them once today, and I'll have to live with that shame forever, so let's not do 2 forevers. And I've put myself again out of position for run despawn, which is, exactly the thing that I told myself I wouldn't do. But sometimes it's easy to, I'm not tryharding. I'm just messing about.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
So that medic needs to die very much. Yeah, the difference with once the drone is up is very significant. And it's actually, it's very obvious from its output that it's more than it is advertised as. And that's just me coming from like, I play a lot of different builds and I know like how it feels to, go from glass to unbreakable and stuff like that, or going from having backpack talents, chest talents to not having them and such. You start getting a feel for how much you gain or lose from specific things over time. And yeah, this is more than the 35% that it advertises itself as. Yeah, if you have a really good, that's the thing as well with weapons. If you have a really good burnout, it's going to likely outperform a bad FAMAS. But what you can do, of course, is then solve that problem by going and finding a good FAMAS, and then once you have one, it's not like it's going to suddenly disappear or level caps are going to change or something. So it's a issue you solve once and then you have it solved. But till you have it solved, burnout isn't a bad choice. A lot of the named weapons actually aren't bad choices. Because, starting out, use the best that you have, and that can be quite different. And that's also why usually the advice that we give is mostly towards what the min-max is, but till you reach that point, just use whatever is available to you. And usually having the right stats becomes a lot more important than having the right pieces. So if you would have a FAMAS that has a swap speed third and a bad talent, a burnout with damage to targets that have cover on it is going to be a lot better choice.
You hear that? Fuck this noise. I'm not trying to help with the ammo count.
DC-62 detected.
Yeah, actually, is the FAMAS initially craftable? I don't actually remember. But yeah, that's also a consideration for newer players. It can take a while till they have those blueprints. But I think actually FAMAS might be either the FAMAS or the M4 is initially craftable. Actually, no, the M4 is from one of the early projects. So yeah, if you were to boost, you would get it. That's where that one coming from. One of the things I've been considering also for maybe doing as a video series is doing the stupid thing of getting a third account and doing a first going from 1 to 40 and just doing a rambling run through it and just giving a guided tour through it basically. And doing that maybe on Twitch and then trimming it down a little bit and putting it on YouTube. But then also
Pulled upstairs.
that will let me
Tunnel door from their control center.
relearn how it feels back at the initial 40. And yeah, just go through as well with you know, my knowledge, and then see what choices I make, because it's hard to really remember how basically the game felt back then. It's easy to forget that, oh yeah, like I won't have access to all of the blueprints, I won't have access to some of the things that I have,
On the flank.
even stuff like credits. Like I've that one, for instance, I do know for I did a little bit of a World Tier 5 characters where I of course didn't have access to a watch or anything to pump up their resources and money. Well, you can't share resources, you don't share credits, so there I had to, you know, just go do bounties. All of a sudden I would just run out of money. Yeah, third account with, yeah. But yeah, it would be just, I mean, likely eventually, I mean, my second account was very much also just, but then 2 years ago, me going, yeah, let me relearn what the game feels like to be at that point. And also, it's kind of like doing a hardcore character, but even worse, where you don't have access to anything that you've had. So but I think it would be, yeah, firstly going through it as a guided tour might be interesting, and then following that up once I reach 40 with, okay, these are the choices that I make. This is, and because it's hard to even say like what those choices would be, and that's why I also like haven't made a video on
The campus is taking position inside the memorial.
on stuff like recalibrations or optimization or stuff like that, because from my viewpoint it's a little bit hard to,
If you hadn't stopped them, I know they would.
because it's easy to say, yeah, just optimize it up to full, because I can do that because I can spend the watch points, but I also know just that
Thank you.
that's hard, much harder to farm.
Dealt a great blow to the True Sun's infrastructure.
Oh, that is online as well.
Confiscated a massive
Send them a message in a second.
eliminated the campus. You should be proud. You saved a lot of lives today.
Yeah, it's sorry, I'm just messaging someone in the background and reading up on chat. Well, the thing is, so for instance, for me, I actually very much prefer the recoil pattern of the FAMAS over most of the other weapons. But that's also, I've been using a FAMAS for quite long. That informs that decision as well a little bit. So I'm going to think of which, yeah, let me go do a district union with this. So also, I'm just now considering as well, towards the end of that mission, I actually didn't have my drone out, and it was still doing fine. And that's mostly, yeah, I'm just messing about. I'm not taking it way too seriously. And let my skills recharge in for a second, then oh, at some point I also got an exotic. Well, the thing especially with the FAMAS is its pattern isn't too bad. Like it's a very consistent pattern is the thing. Because yeah, actually one of the things that came up with a comment today as well is some questions about how accuracy and stability. Well, actually, with if there's any like good sources on accuracy and stability already existing, and it's one of those things that not many people. Well, as far as I know, there is no like a compiled list of accuracy and stability for all of the weapons. There isn't even like a. There's one thing you could do actually is just have it be just a Google Doc with if it's just the screenshots from game. The only annoying thing is that there's of course the skewing from the menus where it's going to be very hard to line them up. You would have to basically deform them in a image processing software to be flat if you wanted to like put them all below each other or something to compare them easily. But yeah, I was thinking. I mean, it is a thing that I've had like on my list for like a year, and I've been lazy about it. Is to just measure all those bars and quantify them, give them basically put them over into numbers, because the bars do kind of make sense, especially for accuracy and their and stability. Like the weapons. Like when the bar is bigger, the weapon is actually like recoiling less left to right if it has more stability and stuff like that. But what of course matters more almost than that is their pattern. And yeah, I mean, I've seen one other YouTuber have a decent idea of how to show that together with especially the stability stat. And I might copy that. But just getting the stats together will be might be a useful thing to do. I do already for especially ARs. I do have one of each AR in my inventory, or in my stash, not in my inventory. So I could quite easily compile the course data, and then I would have to go through and just measure everything. And I'm not deploying my drone, of course, because I'm
Serious trauma detected.
I will likely die here. Oh, surprisingly I didn't. I let one enemy flank me quite easily. I put myself in a very bad position there. To just briefly... So, for some reason, the chats that I have in like the stream manager of Twitch is... Oh, rogue agents. Actually, yeah, that would be a good test of this. Keeps freezing up. I see it in the OBS stream chat that there's messages that there weren't there, but reloading seems to fix it. Well, no, the stats, so to the stats on the bars, when you're comparing them on the same weapon types, it actually does line up. It's just that more important than that is always the pattern. Like the weapons that feel like they don't match up in there is... like, for instance, the AUG. Stat-wise, the AUG seems okay, but then it has a horrible talent, or a horrible pattern. And that breaks it.
Hostile phaser drone detected. Rogue agent eliminated.
That worked out. Yeah, Scorpio with HF is always gonna really easily take care of two rogues. Unless they, like, sideswipe me with... an Oxy or something. Also, as long as it's not a very open area, because that can also as long as there's enough places to hide.
Tracker detected.
Yeah, Scorpio is very much as it's a thing that as long as you're fighting few enemies, which especially solo, you're usually not fighting more than 4 enemies solo, and that means that it's going to be very easy to just keep them CC'd, especially together with Hunter's Fury, Disorient on kill as well. Especially the idea here of having, because Hunter's Fury with shotgun used to be very popular, very much so. But that was especially because, and especially with Scorpio, because it worked well with Intimidate back then. And Intimidate was very strong and was active from the first shot, basically because you would be, as long as you put yourself in range. And now Double Companion can kind of take that position. Although, yeah, this is of course, we can basically say it's broken. It's not, the wording does not match up with reality. And likely it will be changed to match up at some point. But till then we get to enjoy it. But yeah, you have annoying things like this where I have to recycle my drone, and that's a 23-second cooldown. And I'm actually going to see how far in this room I get before that 20 seconds gets done, because I'll likely be on the 3rd or 4th enemy by the time I have my... So I killed 2, 3, oh yeah, now I have it again. But yeah, even that's not that bad. Although even actually what I could do is put in a memento in here. Like it doesn't need to be Double Companion. It's just that Companion is a good talent. Again, that does work with shotguns because most of the things just don't work with shotguns. It's the same reason why rifles are very much, you end up usually going spotter or going glass, because yeah, those two talents work, but you can't go the obvious, like the obliterate and stuff like that.
You're not getting through here. Don't die, motherfucker. Not a chance.
But, well, just didn't want to let me be cool and go through the window. Do I need a CMM and Benji? Nah, that's too bad. Will it let me go through the window now? Yes, it will. We'll reload that again. So I don't know if you've seen Fog of Wars video on accuracy. Like that is one of the things that he did do in a way that is actually interesting. Like that's one of the reasons why I thought that there could be, you know, something useful there to try to see if he can see eye to eye on some of the points. But yeah, so in there, but also so that not just that video showed it, but that was already consistent with my findings as well, and some others that I've seen at times. And yeah, that basically, yeah, the stability is the side-to-side recoil, just lessens it measurably. But of course, if the pattern is very wide already, then that doesn't show up that easily. Actually, I should go for key chest. But yeah, so just that accuracy one is actually, it is one of his way older videos. And then yeah, I on most of the other things, I am not in agreement with him. I'll just say on the record, just before it's considered a recommendation. But yeah, just collating all that data and just, you know, trying to get it all lined up is going to, and that's why I haven't done it. It's been on my list. I have a Google Doc where in which I keep like ideas of things I need to do or want to do, and it's a very long list as yeah. You, especially Apple, will know as well with some of the ideas I've had through the years, or that I've discussed. Of also reworking and to have so one of the things I really want to get done this summer is to have redo make a new version of that sheet that has all of the talents and what stats they are, and with all of the newer stuff in it as well. Let's go over here and heal. I'll just take this fight slow. Because yeah, this is likely the only place that could give me trouble. Oh yeah, and just as a tip that I know a lot of players don't know it because nobody does it in in matchmaking and such, but these 3 barrels around them, they're actually what really damage this thing, because I could shoot it, of course, for a while, but I could do it with a grenade. Let me see if that, of course, won't let me throw a grenade, but the health goes down by quite a lot whenever one of those. Oh, actually, it's on the screen, of course. I could just sit like. But yeah, just blowing up those 3 barrels just basically almost kills the thing, and you can stand behind it here as well as another thing. Like usually with tech tanks, I just push up to here, stand behind this guy, kill him quickly, and then kill the rest. Him first, because she's not much of an issue with a shield.
Sending out our safe. Where are you going?
Diesel, what's going on down there?
And we'll just kill her with her own thing, just to add insult to injury. Just reload this real quick again.
Airborne toxins at unsafe levels. Filters failing.
Yep, that's
Air filter function.
of course
Air quality.
braced on the chest. You really only get. I haven't done this solo on heroic for quite a while, and
Kill us all. Stand and fight. You hear me?
I'm surprised that's just that 3-man wave, and then you get to go. That's not much. Yep, double braced as
Stand in my way.
I'm tearing him.
I mean, they've set a precedent now. They have to, you know.
Airborne toxins at unsafe levels. Filters failing.
They really didn't want to jump down short, apparently. Yeah, this actually, I mean, yeah, it's hard to tell, of course. Like the way it is now, it feels a little bit actually overpowered, maybe even. But of course, also the thing with it nowadays is
Taking out the high leadership leaves the faction in disarray.
there's you have choices out of many overpowered things. Like a striker would outdamage this by a ton. A striker with Elmo would kind of have somewhat similar levels of CC. I'm actually even curious to see what the time on that was. Yeah, 15 minutes, pretty slow. But I think also I stood still for several times and just was talking. It would be interesting actually to see what other changes, backpack talents, matching chest talents and stuff could provide us with. But yeah, it was interesting that they even, because if I'm not mistaken, their initial thing was that this was just going to be a placeholder, right? Until they were going to, like they said, the companion thing is just a placeholder or working on something.
Check something out?
And then it was, you know, suddenly just the thing. So one thing I'm just going to check real quick. Actually, no, we have 127 crit damage. I was going to check if there's it's going to be worthwhile to drop a little bit of crit chance to gain crit damage calculation wise, but it's obviously not going to. Being at 60 is going to benefit us, except for if we were to run this in groups with together with a coyote. But even there, we would have the availability of just swapping out a crit chance buff here. So one thing I kind of do want to try actually is, but in this setup we would then use lose the Seska piece, and that would cause us to gain or to lose way too much crit chance as well to go memento. But stat wise with the memento, I'm of course gonna land way lower, but we gain the benefits of memento towards the shield, towards the talents. Once it's charged up, having that 30 skill haste as well, applying to the drone. It will likely also not be, the stats will likely not, or the chest talent will likely not be double applying as it is now. So could be interesting to at least try this. And I am going to, so. I want just something a little bit simple, not too wide, but also not too corridory. American History Museum sounds okay. There's a few wide areas where we'll be fighting.
Hostile control point detected.
Oh, it's actually invaded as well. So.
Spread out throughout the building. Be prepared.
That will also be a good way to check how it feels a little bit when you lose the skill. Because we're likely going to encounter a dog at some point that's going to explode and jam us, so. Like there. I'm just gonna take this sniper shot in the shield. What is my cooldown now? Okay, still around 23 seconds. Of course, we're not charged up on the memento at all yet. Let me grab this chest up here
System
and head
ready.
back in. Should I actually grab memento stacks because I'm not charged up yet. Yeah, we'll have a drone again before the next round. That's enough for
Got a drone!
what we're trying to do. No shock rounds, right? And invade now. On normal, there's actually shock rounds back there, which can be quite handy. Grab the key as well. It's going to be quite interesting what they say about some of the bugs that they've introduced. Also, damage-wise, I actually feel... See, I 432. So I feel this is actually, yeah, this is just applying once. The talent isn't applying double. Which is also kind of hard. Nah, I shouldn't, yeah. Should charge up the memento first and then get a feel for it. Because with the memento halfway, that kind of... It's hard to tell. Can we get away in time? Barely. But yeah, here we'll have hounds again. Where's the heavy? Nice of him to show his butt like that. Oh yeah, solo heavies are very easily dealt with. Except that, actually that shock makes it quite hard to actually hit that hole. Also, yeah, with a shotgun it's also hard to hit that hole. Also, yeah, what's going on with the turn? Like, yeah, that's how I read it as well. Like, they said we've done changes to determined, and it's back to a state that they previously stated that they were going to apply a fix for. Because yeah, how it currently is. I mean, I haven't played around with it. Really, I have to go deeper before it spawns. Okay. I haven't played around with it much this round, but from my understanding, it's exactly how it was pre-nerf, right? Or pre-rebalance. And that would be very surprising if they kept it like that. Like, it is... It is very much out of balance with the rest, I feel. But I feel the same way about Striker, and I've given up hope that there's going to be any balance changes there. But at least luckily Striker has a mechanic tied to it that seems to be deterring quite a lot of people from messing around with it. Which, I mean, I would say that is, yeah, that's just players being somewhat reluctant to give up the old red builds is like the only reason why there are some holdouts still, because Striker is just such a overpowered beast.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
We also on the their wording or them saying stuff. Sometimes it's. For the longest time they said Heartbreaker is how we intend it to be, and then they come out when it was that in its original self-multiplicative state that was completely overpowered. The numbers of a Heartbreaker back then were much higher than a Striker is now. With the ability of it to provide bonus armor to itself. And for the longest of time, they said this is exactly how we intended it, and then they went, "Oh no, wait! It's supposed to be additive instead of multiplicative." So there's precedent there for statements that were made and then recalled.
You're making good progress. Take it steady.
I'm gonna go grab the key chest while I'm here as well up here.
Laptop detected.
Style drone! Got the ray! I'm going in!
Don't want to push in too far because in a second we'll have an objective behind us. So running to the end of the corridor would mean running all the way back for this. So
Download.
that's why I was avoiding going too deep.
Review the data you just downloaded and see what we can make of it. Continue your sweep.
I'm getting a flurry of movement right outside the north entrance.
Yeah, it is, it is... It should be obvious if used that it isn't in balance with all of the other builds. But,
The last of them. Take them down, Agent.
but they have a decent track record of at least like outliers that are that far to at least punch those back. So they'll get to it eventually. Luckily, it's a headshot build that at least like requires a headshot to start going. So that will deter about 70% of the player base of ever using it.
We got.
At least as a guess. Alright. I don't have numbers. But yeah, just how reluctant some people are to even mess around with those kinds of builds. Also, I'm part of the problem. Like, amounts of times that that I should spend on getting better with an Regulus, like if I had spent all that time on it instead of bitching about it, I would have been better with it than I am now. So this even also feels as a viable setup. And likely here I'm not getting the double companion. And it's still like performing okay. I might actually save the build like this just to avoid putting double companion I usually avoid putting stuff that I would consider buggy into the build collection, just because I'd rather not contribute to it. And yeah, it does benefit from the extra cores, of course, and stuff, for its shield.
Target the site and see what you can find.
But yeah, this at least is a viable replacement for the other one.
What can I help you find? Nice doing business with
And just a useful talent for shotguns. We've been missing a good one for a while since the Intimidate buff. Or nerf. Changes, let's call it. Yeah, the talent wise, the thing that seems to they seem to be struggling with is giving it a purpose, because it's very much purposeless as it was in its nerfed state. Like, why would you ever use it? But they should just also be okay with that. They should just go, okay, this is a useless thing, and we're okay with that. Or a very, there might be some situations where maybe works or something, but instead of reapplying it in a very broken state. So I'm going to actually, let me quickly check, because I should have mods as well on the pieces of the old build, but likely there will be crit chance mods. So that piece I will likely want to keep. I still actually need to farm for a red coreable companion or a reflex spotter. The closer chest still. So I'm going to actually save this build into this. Just going to make sure that the appearance slots are also filled in. And then I will likely jump into just doing a few missions. Or some other thing, maybe, and especially mess around with Guardians a little bit before before it ends. I'm trying to remember. Was Black Goldenrod? I feel that should be somewhere up here. So that's going to. It's gonna. Just make a note in my changes thing, my build collection of what I'm going to change, so that I remember to actually update this build. So this is going to be overridden with double companion, and those two other pieces will leave the inventory here, which is just going to be that one and this one. And later at some point, likely before I swap it out, I'm going to get another 12 crit damage mod into it and swap one of the pieces of the 100 Furies to have the crit chance over there. Just so I don't have to move that mod around whenever I want to mess around with it in different builds. Just checking that I'm not hanging on to any pieces that are no longer part of that. The 612 that was part of that build is also now freed up, of course, so I'm just gonna stash that as well. That's free talentable. How many of those do I actually even have? I have 2, right? Likely. Okay. Yeah, the one useful thing is if I do go in and go after putting in all of those accuracy, stability, especially for ARs, I do own one of each AR. And in my case, all of them with damage to targets out of cover and a free talent or retalentable variant. So at least I have easy access to the stats just here. But yeah, just grabbing them all and trying to get them all measured and stuff would take some while. because also sometimes there is just big differences, like between the ACR and the ACRE. Like they are variants of each other's, but the two stat bars are very much different to each other, and then several variants are just barely any different. Like the G36s are like just tiny stability differences. Yeah, so this setup is how I want it to be now. I'm just gonna swap into an Eclipse and just do a few missions. On this character, I don't have a specific Eclipse loadout saved. It's very much set up to be very annoying in a DZ with all skill damage status effects that the build is safe as, but I have all the pieces to make it an Eclipse when I need it. No, I'm going to measure them. I'm not going to ever touch measured talent again as a... Yeah. That does not need to be in the same sentences as anything else. Yeah, you know, you have to measure it on everything, and then I wanted to put the global event on, so let me actually do that before I open there.
Hostile Guardians are now active.
Okay. I'm just gonna hop into a random mission and just see what we get.
Invite to another agent's group received.
East Mall, so hopefully a mission there. Well, actually, likely American History Museum or Capitol or Capitol.
Guardians detected in the field.
Taking the capital.
I will actually give them a quick inspect. That's not a Heartbreaker in the right way.
Alice was carrying aboard
Nor Striker, nor ongoing bats.
a helicopter distracted.
This is luckily an easy mission.
Alice told us is true. A lot depends on getting
The boss room will actually be interesting with Guardians.
but you'll be on your own once you're inside.
I'm seeing mortars on the roof, and you've got a lot of hostiles ahead.
Let's see if I can get up to here before they spawn, but nope. Still caught something, but...
Priority target detected.
Uh-oh. This is always interesting on awareness part. Like, Fog of War isn't active here. That's, but yeah, that's, I mean, sometimes I'm also just not focused on where people are spawning from. I mean, yeah, that's what they should do as well, is to put measured on a backpack talent, so you can double measure that way. And even triple measure
Serious trauma detected.
with the chest as well later on, with it being a perfect measured. Well, actually, that's
Clear.
All right, push forward.
a player from Medkit, one of the clan that I used to be in quite a while back.
More hostiles headed to you.
And that's the easy way to catch that wave. I mean, you can actually go into that room with the glitched way, but it's also not hard to just do it from outside.
That was the last of them. You should have a clear approach to the entrance.
Then it's time to get in there and finish this.
Gonna go for the objective first. As most people usually go for the chest first. You have to wait for the objective anyway, so might as well hit that first. See if somebody dies here, as not uncommon.
Hostile radio intercepted.
Sir, proximity charges just detonated in the rotunda.
They're inside. Move to intercept.
System malfunctioning.
People always go for that chest now, which always seems weird to me. It's so much easier to get it later when we have to go by that door anyway.
Electronic signature detected.
That's the RFID code we're looking for.
Gonna wait for that moment.
Copy that, Kelso?
Loud and clear. Standing by.
System.
Once you acquire the briefcase, head to the roof of the rotunda and wait for the helicopter.
And this is one of the missions where Eclipse can make it way too easy.
They'll need to be cleared before the helo can approach.
Gonna, I guess, strong.
System reactivated.
Put one there as well. And Guardians as well, just makes this quite easy. Although I think I'm gonna go push. Normally I would avoid with random groups to pushing towards the last wave, doing it the cheesy way. But
General, the
with Guardians especially, I think that might be the play, because if we let them spread out and
yes, sir.
a Guardian ends up in a horrible spot, then that could actually make this annoying. So I think I will go to the cheese area and see if anybody follows up with me.
Small arms range. Good visual.
At least for the boss fight. That should catch them. Interesting that wave of 3 spawns without a guardian. That's actually they were. Oh no, they were guarded by this guy.
An agent has disconnected.
Also, wasn't there an ongoing directive player in this group? Yeah, they are not aware that they can actually go into my gas as well, and that it won't hurt them. I'm going to double check. Thought there was, and there is. Okay, I have bleed rounds now, but didn't for quite a while. I hit somebody in the back apparently. Everything that I've set on fire is immune. Luckily, it's still spread by a kill. Did not run into the explosion like that. I've killed myself way too much in the league runs with the explosion. It's just too easy to not pay attention to it and run straight to your death.
When the roof is clear, send up a flare to signal us.
So here the first wave is usually that door where I put my canister, and I'm gonna close the distance and add in my hive as well. And here the only thing that can be annoying is that they can spawn across as well, and especially when a heavy comes out with them, like they can push out and just very quickly kill half the team, or well, put them at the health gate and make them easy kills with one well-placed grenade.
Holy shit! They've got Sam! That woke me up. We need to bug out until the airspace is clear.
Yeah, the annoying thing about them is that they count as like a self-applied explosion, so
The missile came from the east side of
you don't go into a health gate, you go directly to death.
Must be guidance for the SAMs. Take them out by any means necessary so the helo can approach.
I'm gonna grab that. Now, I thought all of them already all went over there, so you would think they had grabbed it.
Okay, I have eyes on you.
So seeing as I've already decided I'm going to actually cheese it, I'm going to put my hive there already. Because might as well. So here as well is one of those places where I can already put a chem there, and then when they spawn in, then ignite it. Although I picked poorly because that's not a guardian, of course. But that guy is. Both of them are kind of setting up in a non-cheese way. I'll cheese it just from here. So here's one of the holes that is a little bit harder to use as well. So it's not as easy as the other holes. But here as well, I'm a little bit more safe from heavies. Which, but yeah, it is harder to get through. Actually, the Guardian explosion is going to kill a lot of stuff as well. So that solves an issue that I will have of running out of charges.
An agent has left your group.
That was the disconnected ally finally dying out all the way. That worked out. That's actually one of the fastest ones I've ever seen, but yeah, it's been a while since I don't think I might have actually never done this with Guardians, but yeah, the Guardians very much worked there. That was pretty short. I mean, we just have to wait it out. I'm not gonna go towards the button because I should be over here, just so I'm ready to kill the things, but one of my allies could go towards the button already and be ready to press it right away. In the meantime, I'll have a look over here and see that it's not the worst. No, actually, he is going to do exactly that, looks like. To be ready in position. And this is actually the hole that I much more prefer. It's much easier to get through here. Just with that bobbing and weaving of the chem. Actually, the very fastest way of doing this is with an Eclipse and an Oxy is makes very short work of this. But Guardians here is basically providing providing that same effect that Oxy would be, of just that that explosion on the ground, just killing a ton of them. And the only thing that will really survive is heavies like that. And now we have to wait out another timer, so let's do a little bit of a dance. This is one of the ones that it's surprising that it actually doesn't have a... Although I'm guessing they didn't expect, like, back when they made this mission, Eclipse and stuff didn't exist. You couldn't keep them. I mean, you could kind of keep them in here, but they wouldn't have expected it. Is that in a lot of places, if the game doesn't have waves to spawn anymore, it usually just ends the timer around 80%.
No further contacts. Area secure.
But not for this one.
Coming to you.
Second trailer down.
So here as well, we can have 3 waves down here. So I'm just gonna kill those 3 waves, especially, and then focus on the boss.
Stand by to attach the briefcase.
I'm gonna set that as a trap. Oh, it ignited for some reason.
We have the briefcase.
Usually most of the stuff in there is despawned, so it doesn't happen like that, but
We've got a whole bunch of hostiles.
I'll just do it like that. Just gonna wait for the duration to run out and then refire just with that. Trying to sneak in a refire with in sync is actually really hard through that hole. Like with a shotgun, you just hit the, like, it's actually a very small point to try to go through. So what is this last enemy? Heavy? Yeah, has to be.
The briefcase is secure. True Sons lost their stronghold, and General Ridgway has been neutralized. Of all the toys on my map I've been waiting to knock over, that fucker was the one.
So we
A
have
lot of good people from my old unit are dead because of him.
any keepers.
Even went over to his side. Set up a flare from the front steps to signal the all clear. Then come on home. Let's celebrate.
Yeah, way in the past, this used to also be a way of farming. We would just do the boss fight, then kill ourselves after the boss, and then redo only that part, and then just gear farm that way. But there are much better ways nowadays. But long ago. What was our time on that? 15 minutes for capital isn't too bad. Yeah, I soaked up all the kills, especially with that last part. So yeah.
You have
What time is it? I think I'm gonna do one more mission or something, and then briefly take an hour or so of a break, and then I'll be actually I'm going to stream this evening as well, so if you're interested in joining me for that, that'll be much appreciated. And that's going to be starting at around 9 p.m. Central European Summer Time, CEST. What I'm considering here is actually I might actually farm this zone for a few. I'll just do a CP here, and I'll just grab a tech tank. I'm in the mood of doing just something solo on heroic and. I was trying to bring up the global difficulty things, but I hadn't noticed that I still had a stat screen up. It's always annoying that you can't you can't do both at the same time. They have the same button, so one gets grayed out. And I'll actually grab, I could have grabbed all together actually, I realize now, but, you know, sometimes I barely pay attention. And I'm just going to hit the CP here, and I'm looking for a crit chance glove to make this a crit chance glove for that build. And that shouldn't be too hard to find. Yeah, let's go over to this, as yeah, it is a little bit of a distance save, especially with PC loading times. See, we have our friend here, which, as always, usually if he isn't on a timer, he's almost always available here.
My buddy is open for business. I can give you the
Hostile
location.
control point nearby.
For a second there, I had to think what day it was, because it's like, wait, is it Wednesday? Should I go check Cassie? Yeah, no, it's Monday. Take out this heavy along the way. Although that's likely, I already see in the background that the CP kind of is aggroed. Yeah, and they are. But I'll thank this guy for bringing a Guardian buff to me. That's going to make it a lot easier.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
I should actually close the distance here, but I'm just going to suppress one of them. Let me check if I'm bugged on the armor. I'm not. That makes it a little bit easier. That's very annoying how quickly he got me there. Just gonna cover this, and once I'm here, I can just farm these guys quite easily. Yeah, especially with the Guardian buff. As annoying as it can be, Guardian, sometimes the Guardian buff is very strong. Something else joined this fight as well. Just gonna kill the Guardian of it and get the buff. And that's way outside of my optimal, but also I don't want to close that distance before I go and get some ammo in a second. So I'll just attempt to keep it on target, which is annoying when you're getting hit on the shield as well, as that jumps your shield around. And you would think that at that some point I would have hit his backpack as well, but apparently the game disagreed. That is a viable thing to happen. Actually, I should grab memento stacks along the way before I call them in, just to charge up that memento. Oh, and actually, these guys will likely not have Guardian when they spawn from sewers. They don't have the Guardian buff, so
Reinforcements in.
two of the places here where they can spawn is sewers, so only if they spawn from back there will they have Guardian.
Detected.
Let's get. You're going nowhere. Get away from me.
Guardian explosion almost killed me. So I'm missing one person. I don't know where he went, but I'll figure it out in a second. Likely by getting shot in the back.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Yeah, it's stuff like this that really makes me not understand why some people say the things they do about Guardians. Like, I understand at points it can be frustrating, but you just have to take in the right builds and take in the right mentality. Basically, you have to have a build that can be hyper aggressive. It needs to a little bit of survivability, because once you gain the Guardian buff, like even a weak build that is giving up a lot of its damage for survivability will do fine.
Supply room access unlocked.
In the case of a tech tank that already like does decent enough damage anyway, it's even like finer. Getting a lot of chests and backpacks. That's parts that no Hunter's Fury build should ever use. I'll hit another one as well. The nice thing about said castle now as well is it is a resupply point here as well, so, and it doesn't cost you the memento points as it's not a shared space. Also, one of the funny things you can do is actually, if you engage stuff over there and let them come to you, there is actually basically an invisible wall for them in this doorway. I'll see if I can actually show it. I'll just get some hits in and drag them this way. Just gonna destroy that turret from long range and not have to deal with it later. I was hoping for a few foamers. Those guys usually like come towards you a lot, but they don't seem to have any, so I'm just gonna push in and kill the Guardian and see if the next wave has foamers. Yeah, if you basically pull enemies to there, you can go into the door, they'll stop seeing you, and then you can come out of the door and they'll see you again. It's a little bit silly. You can actually also drag them into the settlement. They'll run away eventually, but you can actually drag them all the way to to where Wally is. I'm gonna go for a Guardian buff again. I was hoping to get it before I got armor broken, but I didn't. Oh, we're just gonna go in here and say hi. One of the things also one of these years I should do is I don't believe there is still a compiled list of exactly what each like buff does. Like we know, you know, like Golden Bullet gives weapon handling and stuff, and RPM and damage, and polarity is mostly damage. This one's mostly RPM, stuff like that, but we don't know the exact values, and they're actually shouldn't be too hard to figure out. Although stuff, of course, like polarity switch has like stages or like ranks that you have. But at least the top ones would be handy to know of exactly what it's basically adding into. Yeah, exactly. Apple. I mean, well, you know this, but I'll say for my polarity and Guardians are likely my favorites. They are just because they have a mechanic tied to them, and it can be quite rewarding to do it well. Where Golden Bullet just feels like, here, have some damage. Which, I mean, it's nice. I mean, I'm not going to say no to damage, but it very much also like if you play too long on Golden Bullet, like the week after just feels worse. It's like you know, going on a bender. Like it's nice, but you also have to deal with the next day.
Reinforcements incoming.
Actually, I had never
Additional hostile.
paid attention that it shows up on the stat screen. That makes sense, actually. That does. Also, one of the things of Guardian as well, I mean, Polarity has this as well, of course, is you see where enemies are.
I'm getting down.
And also I feel, especially with Guardians, that a lot of people don't understand it mechanically, that you have a few options that aren't well explained, which is also the fault of the game as well. Like, if it explained it a lot better. Because you can melee guarded enemies to get them out of being guarded, which it tries to teach you by having it be one of the challenges. But also shooting weak points on the Guardian will shock and as long as the Guardian, of course, has a weak point to be hit. And it's not even the destruction of it, it just needs to be hit. So it gives you tools to... For instance, here I'm going to melee, and then... But if you, like, don't know that, yeah, I can understand it a bit better. Here as well, just gonna... Like, that's just some built-in CC of just only just hitting the weak point a few times, and everything else is getting CC'd by it.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
The game really wanted to spawn everything... oh, they're spawning on this side from the sewer. That's why I'm not seeing them.
Supply room access unlocked.
Okay, that's good to know. That shows up there. Yeah, usually stuff like that becomes a little bit sticky and hangs around for way too long on the stat screen.
Hostiles guarding location nearby.
So we didn't get the part that I'm after, glove with crit chance out of it yet. I'll continue for another few minutes and do a territory control likely if there's available. I shall go for that one, which is in walking distance here. I should check the inventory as well before I accidentally already have one usable one.
Friendly control point nearby.
Maybe we should have left the city. Always happy to have help. Now we can get this done.
Also, this season's directives are much nicer than last ones, luckily for open world farming, at least for me, for where I usually go in there, mostly solo on tech tanks. They benefit me greatly. Ah. There's the last one. Don't want to go too far that way because, yeah, they'll spawn back here. was a mask. That could also work if it is correct, but it's with a blue miner, so that's never going to be crit chance, of course. Bang out one more thing. Then I'm thinking of going there. I'm gonna go from the classified. If I went to the safe house, I would lose all my memento stack, so I'm going to try and avoid that because, yeah. And that's one of the things that these classifiers are actually useful for, are just extra warp points. They're not worth the amount that they regularly ask for them, which is like, I think, 20 euros more or something for the Ultimate Edition or to get the year one pass, but you got it on a discount for like $3 extra. It's not too horrible. Guardians in the back here, so I'm just gonna go for it because, yeah, they're all gonna be shocked when she dies anyway. I did a lot less damage there than I expected to do, and it cost me armor break, but as long as I'm not bugged, that shouldn't be an issue.
Need a new vest. Take that.
Access key detected.
See if there's anything else in the zone. Yeah, so this is the downside of this character that has a lot of these side missions still open, is less spawns, because nothing is going to spawn there, where here normally you would have a territory control and that point over here. Can be useful sometimes, but also, so in this case, doesn't help. One thing I'm going to actually check real quickly is how many resources I have available to me and if it's craftable. Hunter's Fury, I believe, is all craftable. I don't think it's missing anything. As, for instance, the Striker, I know, is missing one part. It doesn't have a blueprint, even if you like did that season, had that season done. Just gonna pop these caches. And likely that's going to also, I'm going to wind down and go have a quick meal. And then I'll join back up in an hour and a half or something and do a few more hours. And for that, I've mostly am going to go farm. I haven't decided where yet, either a summit or some more countdowns. And that's mostly for... So I need an electric chest for the glass build. Even though I have this one for an Eclipse class, I would much rather have it be the status effect skill haste variant. Or status effect skill haste on here so I can free talent it. So that'll be what I'll be doing then. And also I have one build at the ready to as well add into the collection, which is that I am actually going to keep that... red Eclipse with the socket punch, because it's mechanically interesting. And the build I'm going to give up for that is I'm going to move one of the builds on this character to a different character, and it's going to cost me not this ongoing directive. This ongoing directive is going to a different character that has a status effect ongoing directive, and then that one will be will not be part of my collection anymore. As a well, a status effect ongoing directive is kind of interesting for just silly playstyle. It's not useful. The glass red here, in this variant, it is actually quite useful. So maybe I'll do that as well this evening, and that might be, see me how I move builds around as well. So yeah, thank you all for joining me, and if you haven't yet and are willing to, I wouldn't mind a follow. And yeah, hope you have a good evening or a good afternoon, depending on where you are. And I hope you guys join me this evening as well. Yeah, no, that's why I said it out loud. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. See you in a bit.